Hello everyone, it's nice to have you back here on my channel. Today we are going to be talking about what are the factors that account for child sexual abuse. There are a lot of factors that account for child sexual abuse. So many things, so many reasons cause child sexual abuse in our society today. But today I'm going to just pick on one point, and then subsequent videos will pick on other points. One of the factors that account for child sexual abuse is child neglect. A lot of children that are neglected in our community and society end up being victims of child sexual abuse. For example, when a mother is a single mother and she has to go to work, and so nobody to look after her children or a child, be it as it may. In that kind of situation, you see children living alone in the house. So peradventure they go to school, they come back from school and they are alone in the house. No adult supervision whatsoever, no one watching over them. Now these children are the kind of children that experience child sexual abuse. Because if they happen to have a neighbor who is a predator, it's a done deal. Because before their mother will return back from work, it's probably late in the night due to Lagos traffic and everything. And you can imagine the fear or the trauma that those children will go through. During that abuse, some of them will not be able to even voice out what they have experienced to their parents. So when a mother is single, it's difficult for her to watch over her children. Even when, okay, there is someone to watch over them, which is like in form of a house help. Such house helps at the end of the day end up abusing the children. Plant a CCTV camera in your house so that even when you're in the office, you can take just a short break to check on them and see what's going on. And when you have enough time, you can rewind the video and watch and see what happened during the day. Because in this way, you are able to nip sexual abuse or child abuse in the bud without allowing it to prolong and then start affecting these children. So if you are a single mother and you have to go to work, if you can afford it, put a CCTV camera in your house to watch your house help and see how she's training your children. If you can't afford it, or you can't afford anybody at all, then you need to make sure that you're checking on these children. You need to prepare them for being alone, how they can cope. And then you have to educate them on their body, what is private on their body and what is not. And let them know that people cannot touch their private parts in their bodies, that once it is done, they should report to you or to any adult that they trust. In short, as it is being done, they should yell and shout, because that is what I teach children when I go to schools. I teach them, when people come and want to touch you in your private parts, you shout no, and you shout it so loud that at least someone in the next building or the next flat will hear that someone shouted, what's going on? So these are some of the things that some of the factors that account to child sexual abuse. When there is child neglect, when you neglect a child, you leave a child at home to go to work. We know the situation of the country, but it is still child neglect, whichever way you see it. When you leave a child for your neighbors to look after, when you leave a child for strangers to just walk into the compound and notice that there's this child who is always alone at home, and once there's nobody in the house, they come and take advantage of the child. When you have a child that you neglect, for example, you don't feed that child, probably it's a stepchild, and that child is not properly fed, that child will be hungry. And that's when the child will go to the neighbor's house, please, I'm hungry, can you give me food? Come inside. And anything can just happen from there. Once that neighbor is a predator, that child is a goner, because the child becomes an instant target of abuse. Or is it when you send the child to go and hawk? Because that's child abuse. When you send a child to go and hawk, and the child just goes and decides to sell to a predator unknowingly. Come inside my house and collect change. So these are all forms of child neglect. When you don't properly take care of a child, when you leave a child all alone at home, when you leave a child without any form of adult supervision wherever, and even when you leave a child with adult supervision, e.g. a housemaid or a houseboy, that's you setting that child up for danger. And if there's any danger lurking in the corner, that child will be taken advantage of. I pray that God will help us. It's not easy. I must say it's not easy for single mothers, even for fathers and mothers that go to work and leave their children for house helps. It's not easy. A sacrifice has to be made, but nobody's ready to make that sacrifice. We all know who is supposed to even make that sacrifice. It's the mother. Because our first job as mothers is to take care of our children. Because when we take care of our children and when we train them properly, they become the society. And if you can imagine 100 people with good home training becoming, going into the society to build and create this, you can imagine what will happen. When you have a lot of agberos on the street, people who just give birth, they can't train them, they can't take them to school, they can't even shelter them. As small as they are, they're already sleeping under the bridge. You see children 7, 8, before 10 years old, they are sleeping under the bridge. That's child neglect. So child neglect is one of the major factors that account for child sexual abuse. Thank you for staying with me to the end of this video. I hope that we will see again to talk about other factors that account for child sexual abuse.